not very long ago, back in 2023, we did an Intel project up at Liberty University. It was very unique. We didn't give them a whole lot of direction. It was me and a guy that worked with the agency. And we got a bunch of students in there and gave them some topics. And here are three of the all-stars from that. And they're going to talk a little bit about what they learned, but also educate. I obviously come from a generation much different than theirs. And they're going to kind of educate us on what they dealt with in some of the things they got into. Full disclosure, this is all open source information. These ladies went out there and dug, and well, they got into some stuff that kind of scared me. I'm not going to lie. But other than snakes, that's all I really scared of. But anyway, I'm going to introduce each one of them and then let them kind of talk about their lives and what they did, how they got to Liberty, and how this whole Intel experience worked for them. We got Jolie. She's going to talk a little bit about being a triplet. We got Jenna. And funny thing, when we were getting ready for this, I kept talking about being around the table, and they were all, I think they thought I was crazy, but we actually are around the table, so it's easier. And I can actually see, and then we have Abby on the other side. And like I said, she's going to talk a little bit about what got her to Liberty, and then, how it all worked from an Intel standpoint. Jolie was I left her out when we did the first run through of this. And so anyway, I'm going to let her start. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, Jolie, and how you got to Liberty and just what it was like growing up a triplet.
Oh, yeah. So I'm originally from California, and I came out here for Liberty. I was looking for a program with like criminal justice, and Liberty just kind of checked off all the boxes, and of course toured the campus, and it was beautiful. I grew up as a triplet. It was fun. I always had a built-in best friend, and so always, had the same friends, with the classes together, share the same birthdays, clothes, everything. And then you have a younger sister on top of that too.
So who was the best student of the three of you? Since they're not here to defend themselves.
I'd say probably my sister or I.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely know if there's someone smarter than you in that triplet, it's a scary day. They're going to take over the world. So, all right, Jenna, tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm originally adopted from China, and I grew up here. Originally grew up in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and then when I was looking for colleges, actually, Liberty was like last on my list. So I was very determined to go out of state, but then I really felt the Lord lead me to Liberty. And I really liked that it was a Christian university, and that was kind of my basis for criminal justice, was my faith. So toured the campus, and I was like, really? Like, this is where you want me? And when I got to Liberty, I really enjoyed it, really enjoyed the professors and just all the opportunities that I had there. So, yeah.
So Fredericksburg to Lynchburg, Virginia.
To Lynchburg, Virginia.
So that first hop from China was a little bit bigger than the one from Fredericksburg to Lynchburg, I would say.
Yeah, just a little bit, but I had just turned 1, so I mean.
You don't have any recollection?
A little bit. I have a little bit of recollection. The only thing that I can remember from like coming over was falling asleep on my dad's shoulder on a bus, and I think we were going to the airport.
So where in China were you from?
So I was adopted from Guangzhou, China, which is, I guess, kind of like the southernmost part of China.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a really cool. I don't know. I think that's a really cool story, and I don't think she's going. Well, I shouldn't say every. You're not going to top her, but where are you from?
I'm from Belarus.
Okay, so for those of us that don't know where that's at,
so it's like in between Russia and Poland, and right below Lithuania.
Okay, well, tell us how you got to Liberty.
So, I'm originally from there, but then I grew up in Pennsylvania. And then I have family that live in Richmond. And then my cousin went to Liberty. I toured it and loved it. And then I came here.
So my question about Liberty is it just the entertainment, or what is it about Liberty that like draws people like you to the school. And I don't know, I've always been really impressed with students that come from Liberty and just the way y'all did the project. So why would y'all recommend LU?
I would have to say, like, from my standpoint, like, Liberty has, like, the nicest people in the whole world, like, and you just feel welcomed by everyone. And especially having a faith-based education, you look at the world from a different perspective rather than, like, the normal person. And it just gives you a better outlook on life in general. And it's really giving you core values so you can take that in any career that you decide to go into.
So it's just the core, the Christian core at Liberty, and just the culture up there. Mm-hmm. And I guess y'all have all experienced different places. Did y'all all go to public schools or?
Mm-hmm. No, I went to private school.
Okay.
A Christian private school.
Yeah,
Okay.
same.
Okay.
I started in a Christian school, and then I made my parents take me out, and then I was in public school.
Okay. So, I mean, I think that's always interesting. People talk about the difference between a public education and private education, but I don't know. What do you think as far as your experience at Liberty going from a public school? I guess the two of y'all that went to private school, how did that relate back to going to Liberty? Is that just like a continuation, or what would you say it is?
I don't know. At first, after like going through a private Christian school, I didn't want to go to a Christian private university at all. I wanted to get out, get away from that. And then I really liked the fact that it was a faith-based like university. I mean, it's really, I love it with the classes. The professors, they'll teach you how to have your faith, especially in law enforcement or like in your future career. So that is really cool and really unique. The professors, they really care. They're strong Christians. They really care about their students. And so just seeing that has been incredible. And I've loved that all the professors, they really care. They want you to succeed, and they actually get bothered when, students aren't coming to them and asking them questions. So, yeah.
Okay. What about the two of y'all?
I would say I'm kind of in the same boat with Jolie. Once I graduated from my high school, I was like, I'm ready to, go out into the world. And I actually wanted to leave Virginia, like altogether. Told my parents, I was like, the only way I'm staying in Virginia is if I like am able to get into JMU or Virginia Tech.
Right.
But then when I toured Liberty, I think the same as Jolie said, just the faith and how the professors really pour into you and really care. And just like all the opportunities that Liberty students get. I mean, we have a lot of doors open for us because the professors have so many connections, especially in the criminal justice program. Like, I've done things that I never thought I would do as a college student, so...
Yeah, I know that's pretty cool. Like I've been able to go to like several embassies in DC, like in China and Finland, and that's pretty cool. And going on like an aircraft carrier, like that's pretty cool. And yeah, just the connections and that the professors have, and they start things too. So like this Intel group was started from one of the professors because she wanted us to succeed and to gain that experience.
Okay. What about you, Ab?
I mean, they kind of said the majority of it, but coming from a public school standpoint, it was like kind of like a culture shock almost, because there were so many diverse people at Liberty, and you don't know what you're going to like walk into. Because like my roommate freshman year, she only went to a all black school, so having a white roommate was a really big shock for her. But you just get to experience everyone else's life story, and it's so diverse that, again, it helps your perspective on multiple different types of people.
I think that's one of the coolest things about, I don't know, the older you get, y'all aren't there yet, but the older you get, the more you realize how much in common you have as a human being to other people. And if you could just like focus your attention on that instead of like I just hear all the noise people make about like, well, we're different. But I think the core of most humans inside of the United States of America, they love this country. And I think it's really cool. We have two people that from a different country, and they're already serving. I mean, how old are y'all now?
22.
22.
Yeah, 22.
Yeah, I mean, all three of y'all have well, two of you coming from another country. California's just about another country. But in all seriousness, no, it's too bad they're not closer. I won't go into much. You already know, right?
Yeah.
But you were probably from a good conservative area in California, right?
No.
All right, fair enough. All right, so tell me about, we'll go around the table and just talk about your experience getting into the Intel project. And just, I'll give you this preference. It's Professor Trent is the professor at Liberty University that I got in touch with. And like I said, she was very, very open to the thought of doing an Intel project. And just tell us how y'all got into the project. We'll start with you.
Am I starting?
You're starting.
All right. So fun fact, I wasn't like invited onto the project, or I wasn't on the list of people. I just kind of stumbled on it.
Right.
Because after class, I would normally hang out with Dr. Trent. And so after one of our classes, she would go to these meetings. So I just come hang out at the meetings. And at some point, Trent was like, well, do you want to join this project? And I was like, sure, I'll join it. It sounds like a neat opportunity and really interesting. So I just kind of stumbled upon it, to be honest.
Well, sometimes you're right place, right time,
Yeah.
right? And I'm glad you got into it. What about you, Abby?
So I was kind of just hanging out in Dr. Trent's office, like with Jenna, because like we had a little group and we would just hang out and we would
Like a posse?
Oh yeah, we were her posse.
There you go.
For sure. But I wasn't invited onto the project either initially, just because with my prior busy schedule with ROTC, the military, and classes and everything, that she didn't initially send me the email, but then she gave me the opportunity, and I was like, sure. I mean, this sounds like a great opportunity, and I definitely want to take this opportunity to heart and really just excel.
Okay.
Yeah, I had an email invite, and I didn't really read the email. And so on like the day of the meeting, I was like, oh, I kind of remember that there's a meeting at this classroom at this time, and I wasn't going to go to it. And then I was like, yeah, I'll just check it out. Why not? And then, yeah, that's how.
So you just kind of fell into it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So can y'all kind of go into like the methodology? So basically, we just gave you some topics and some things that we wanted studied. And how did y'all go about collecting information? Just a brief synopsis on like, hey, if I give you, for example, the Sinaloa cartel, how did you get the information about the cartel and how did all that work?
Yeah, so most of the project for us was open source information. So we would look at like news articles that were on Google. For me personally, I would like read an article and then find a person's name, and then I would type that person's name in and then like go down all these different rabbit holes. And then we got like all this information, so we dived deeper to see if we could confirm some of that information.
So you go into open source and then just start validating the information
Yeah.
with other sources.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. All right, Abby.
That's the same thing that like we all pretty much did.
Ditto.
Yeah. But then we like ended up going deeper and getting onto the dark web.
Oh, I can't wait for y'all to tell me about that. So you had human and drug trafficking. What stood out to you about that the most?
Probably like that it's happening in Lynchburg, and like you wouldn't think that something like that happens so close to home, and then you just find all these different places that are actually trafficking girls through, and you're just like, this is happening, and why hasn't anyone put a stop to it?
So I know we've talked about this before, and I don't think we talked about it the last time we talked. But so y'all actually found a place here locally from the dark web, and people were actually commenting on different females, and it showed a pattern of these females going from shop to shop to shop. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was like different massage parlors, right? Like that's what
Actually,
it was.
I don't even think that was on the dark web. It was just on Google.
Yeah, that one was on
Yeah.
Google, but then there was another chat room on the dark web that said, oh, go to like this place and ask for like this certain girl because she does it best or whatever. And it was like, what? But then also we were able to find throughout those chat rooms like different pedophile chat rooms that would talk about like the craziest stuff within like Virginia, because the chat room was like Virginia pedophiles or whatever.
I don't know. I've done this for a while, but the depth that y'all were able to get to in such a very short time, I'm going to talk more about it later, about just the value of your generation as far as being able to do research. And if we just get out of our own way and tap into these minds that like know how to get to the information and not ignore it, man, we could do a lot. Jolie, illicit finance. Tell us how much you hated me for you getting illicit finance, and then how cool it was.
Yeah, that was out of all the other topics, that was one I wanted the least. And so when we got that topic, we had to kind of teach ourselves like illicit finance, because I didn't realize how big it is. I mean, every criminal organization does it, and it happens everywhere. It happens in other countries internationally, and then even in Nelson County, Virginia.
Right.
So it ranges from like money laundering, money mules. It uses cryptocurrency, uses cash, uses gold. And so that was really fascinating to kind of learn about all that and how big it is, but then how small it can also be at the same time.
So you got the big picture all the way down to the small picture into the community that you live in.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So I don't know if y'all are up for this or not, but we're going to try it.
Okay.
Just tell us a little bit. I'm going to give you a little bit of time, but just tell us a little bit about the topics that y'all went over, and just kind of like how it changed your view of what you see. Like when you read the national news and things like that, based on your research that you've done, how does that change the way you look at things? How does it adjust the lens that you perceive things in each one of you? And whoever wants to start, go ahead. I know I threw y'all a curveball, but I would just like to know. I know I'm very jaded just from my experiences in law enforcement. What I would like is, the deep dive that you did. Was there anything that you see that had an impact and that you looked at and are like, this is going to change the way I look at life going forward? Whoever wants to go first,
I guess I'll go first.
All right.
So with human and drug trafficking, like I didn't realize how big it was, and I didn't know like how it impact like so close to home, because you don't realize that like these things are happening because it's not projected enough in the news. But then whenever you go deeper, it's like, oh, well, human and drug trafficking do go hand to hand. Like where there's drugs, there's 9 times out of 10 probably people being trafficked within there too. And then from there, like if you're looking at some area has an extreme amount of overdoses, then you can probably relate it to them drug trafficking something in, and that's like a hotspot for it. So you just need to find out where it's coming from, and then if you find that, then you can find probably more human trafficking cases along with it. And especially like what we found in Lynchburg, it was like, wow, like all of this is happening, and like the gangs are getting involved too, and it's just everywhere, and you don't realize like how much it affects a community. Like even though, yeah, we're in like a Liberty bubble, but you don't hear about it at Liberty, so you're just like completely unaware of what's happening around you. And it definitely like makes me think twice of where I'm going or like who's with me. I'm definitely way more observant about my surroundings due to this project.
I think one of the things that I think about is I think people look at they'll go by a massage parlor and they're like, oh, it's kind of like a laughing thing, oh, that's kind of funny,
Yeah, like
silly.
personally, I'd never go to one.
Right, but I'm just saying people laugh about it and they make jokes about it, but you literally found where these women were being trafficked from place to place to place, and we look at it. I don't know, like from my standpoint, when you look at that, it does hit home. It does hit home that like there are people out here that are subservient to other people. And that's a great transition to your Sinaloa cartel, because you were talking.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So for the Sinaloa cartel, my group, we basically did a big overview of kind of who runs the cartel and just like the structure. So like the leadership structure, and then how they do their operations. So how they get the chemicals to make their product, and then how they get their product over to the United States, which kind of ties into hers, because the cartel will either exploit people who are coming over here looking for a better life, because they'll like kidnap a family member, and then these people are forced to bring their product over on the promise that their loved one will be released. But also they'll recruit U.S. citizens to fly over to New Mexico and then bring it to whatever state they were originally from. And then I think the biggest thing that shocked me is how much they use street gangs, or like local gangs, especially like in Lynchburg. I remember reading one of the articles. There was like 5 different people that were picked up from Lynchburg that had connections to the cartel. And kind of what Abby was saying, like, we're in this Liberty bubble and you don't hear about it a whole lot. So I think it just, doing this project kind of pulled me back to reality a little bit. And I think part of my thinking was like, oh, we're at Liberty, like this is a safe place. And obviously, like Liberty is safe, but there's also bad things that go on around Liberty. So yeah,
I don't know, like for me, when I think about it, I think it's very easy to blame the people that are in this country illegally, but you don't realize that like it's not just about the money. Sometimes it's just a life or death situation for these people as far as moving product. So.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people that were coming over, they were looking for a better life or escaping violence. And then part of the violence that they experienced was one of their loved ones getting taken or held for ransom. And in their mind, they had to do what they do to get their loved ones back. So,
all right, Jolie, tell us about your illicit finance. I know it doesn't sound like there's a lot of violence involved in that, but it's all money does crazy things to people, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, almost all of the topics had some sort of connection with illicit finance, because I mean, you have to fund your drug operations and human trafficking, and the cartels and the gangs. They all need to use some element of illicit finance. But I think one of the coolest and most interesting things that at least I found was that a lot of that it doesn't seem as, I guess, as big or as, I guess, big picture movie as it would seem. It could even just be, someone just DMing or connecting with someone on Instagram saying, hey, like, I'll offer you this amount of money if you just open an account and just transfer some money for me. Or like, hey, like, we'll give you $200. Or if, someone, especially at, the university, they're feeling lonely, they're looking for a significant other, something, and someone, slides into their DMs and promises money, promises them, affection, and like, hey, all you just need to do is just to open an account for me and just transfer some money for me, and super easy. And, that person falls into that, and there's so many other students at like a university or in a college that this could unintentionally be, I guess, a money mule in a sense. So I think it doesn't seem, like a white collar crime like money laundering or, but it can be that, but then it can also be something that seems so small and so, it doesn't seem like as an obvious crime. And then also like a lot of scams, like how many of those scams or those fraud emails could be something a lot bigger.
So I guess what I hear is that there are a lot of predators out. Based on what your experiences has been, there's a lot of predators out there, and they might not be the scary person in the corner. It could be just somebody that is trolling the internet, finding somebody that's vulnerable and taking advantage of them.
Yeah. Especially with, social media and the internet, there's so many dangers everywhere.
Just a lot of access, isn't it? Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's talk. I know this is like the reason y'all showed up today was to talk about the dark web. I'm going to just let y'all go around the table at your luxury and at whatever pace y'all want to go through and just talk about the dark web and what you found. And let's dive into that and see what y'all have to tell us.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess went on the dark web, figured out how to kind of go on there, and yeah, we were finding, like a lot of marketplaces that were selling drugs, weapons, services, like hitmen for hire. They were selling documents,
Body parts.
Yeah, body parts. Yeah, you could,
parts,
buy a birth certificate, you could buy a passport, you could buy a driver's license, and like official documents. Yeah, you could buy services. Yeah, like hitmen for hire. We were able to find the Sinaloa cartel's website, then the Jalisco New Generation as well, and some gang mafia websites. So that was pretty interesting.
So I guess how exactly do you get to the dark web? Do you just type in "take me to the dark web," or how does that work?
I mean, you could, probably look up some YouTube videos or some tutorials. The way that I did it is you have to, I guess, download like a browser, the Tor browser, and they use like different links and different, if you plug in that link into like Safari or Google, nothing will pop up. It's that unique specific to the Tor browser that it's encrypted and it lets you go onto those sites because you need that onion link, which is from the Tor browser. So it's specific to the Tor browser. Like if you plugged in that like Sinaloa's their website link on the Tor browser into Google, nothing would pop up.
Okay, so I guess that's the name, dark web. You got to really know where you're going.
Yeah. You really do have to know where you're going because if you open up the browser just as normally and you type in like CNN, everything from CNN will just normally pop up. You kind of have to know what browsers to use, what search engines to use, and kind of how to get onto the dark web.
All right, what do y'all have?
I mean, we pretty much all did it together. We like sat down and we all got on together. And then there were times that we would get on in Trent's office and we would just sit there for like hours going through information.
We did a lot of scrolling through the dark web.
Yeah, I definitely needed to take a break for like a week before getting back on it at one point.
Tell us about that.
Oh, yikes. So it got to a point where we were going through, well, Jenna was also with me. We were just kind of going through the human trafficking, trying to like figure out other like hotspots and stuff. But then we came across some disgusting chat rooms that had some very explicit, very graphic descriptions about what they would do to children. And then that kind of segued right into a website where they were selling child pornography and selling children because like within that chat room they would send links to different websites where you could like get whatever. So it got to a point like we were seeing like all of these pictures of children for sale and they were in like bad shape. There was like,
so you could actually see the kids and just and I guess it really brings it home when you see a child in that type of situation. It's not, you're not removed from it at that point.
No, like one of the websites was like Yab Yum and it was like one weekend, take a trip. You can have sex with any age, whoever you want. It's a luxury thing. You can take a trip to countries like Bangladesh and others, or they could, set up like a drop with you and you could meet them up and do like an exchange here in the United States. And it was just like to a point we were so grossed out with it. We ended up reporting, I want to say like around 30 different websites to Bedford County. And we
You're
told
talking
them,
about to their internet crimes.
Yeah.
So like we reported like over 30 websites about stuff like that. And then the other like weird one was about prisoners of war. You could like watch them get beaten, like watch them like torture them, and it was like.
So you actually had people paying to.
Yeah, there was
And, like,
another
it would show
site we found that had, I think it was girls from Cambodia, that they'll literally find ways to get them over here to you.
And drop them off
And-
like at your doorstep.
Yeah, it was like, not to, I guess, sound gross, but it's kind of like, you know how we have like DoorDash and Uber Eats? It was kind of like that, but for human trafficking.
So it's literally that. I don't say simple because y'all are really smart, but literally, if you knew what you were doing, you could go on the dark web and have a child delivered to your house.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And like they all like use Bitcoin.
Oof.
Because first they were like, oh, we need you to prove that you're a real person. And they'll ask you like a series of questions, then you'll answer. And then they'll like give you like a phone number or something. And then you reach out to them and then you can pay through them. And it was like really weird. And then there was like another website that told you all the ingredients you needed for meth. And it was like a step process.
Yeah,
and
it was a whole recipe.
Oh yeah, and like where you can like get all the ingredients from. There was website links, and then there was another one like different poisons and what these poisons will do to people, and you could purchase them from the website.
No. I'm glad y'all are at liberty and we're able to like separate yourself from that because that when I think of the dark web, I don't know that you'd crawl out from that if you got involved in it. Really, I mean, just I don't know. I just for me having children, I don't know, and I don't know. Your generation is so good at pulling information. I don't understand why the powers that be in government and law enforcement don't spend more time tapping into the resource that y'all are, as far as, they just want to plug you into like a system instead of saying, hey, look, these I'm sorry, you're kids, but these kids have some amazing insights. And if we just pay attention to what they can do, I mean, look what they can do with the information that you pull, and just your ability to dig into stuff, which that's your generation. So we'll go right into that as problem solvers from the Generation Z. Just kind of go around the table and talk about. I think we've talked a little bit about problem solvers, and we can circle back to that. But just talk about how you get your news in this generation. Everybody talks about how to reach your generation. I mean, I think with the latest election, they were talking about how they reached out podcasts like this one. But how do y'all get your news?
So I think most of our generation gets their news from social media, like Instagram, TikTok. I'd say even podcasts too are pretty big for our generation too. I know I use news media apps, websites. I know some of like the other students in like school government, they also will too. But yeah, I'd say probably a lot of TikTok and a lot of Instagram.
So what does a TikTok story look like? Educate the old people like me.
I actually I haven't had TikTok for 3 years.
Okay.
So I don't
Does
know.
anybody at the table know anything about TikTok news? Oh, all right. So Abby,
So I don't know. It's not really on my feed that often.
you're going to start with a disclaimer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Disclaimer.
All right.
But pretty much like every once in a while, like something will pop up about like Trump. Normally it's from like the left's point of view, and you're kind of like, whatever, not interested. But
Okay.
then I follow like a few other sites that are more leaning in the direction that I believe, more like middle to like leaning right.
Okay.
And it's kind of like, oh, well, they're actually telling you like interesting things like, oh, like the Pope died, or
Right.
like, not that that's like super interesting, but I mean, it's something big in the news.
Well, it's big to a lot of people that are Roman Catholic. So, and that is a huge population.
But it's also like, oh, like you're on your TikTok and then just boom, a video of like someone over in Europe fighting in the war, and you're seeing people get killed, and you're like, how is this even allowed on TikTok? But it's
So we're talking about the war in Russia and Ukraine.
Like
Between
videos like
Russia and
that will just pop up, and you're just like seeing people get shot, and you're like, are there no guidelines?
So so my question is that when you get news like that, do you have to make your own decision on what that's telling you, or I guess I'm really interested in, you get such a brief snippet. Y'all are so detail oriented. How do you extract the information out of that?
So I guess if you're smart about it, you would like look at that video, be like, like, is this actually real? Is this AI doing this? Whatever. Then you'll go like to your search browser and you'll like look it up like on different news sites, and you're like, oh, like this is actually legit. And then you get different perspectives of like what the issue is, what's happening, and then like you create your own decision.
So you make it sound so simple, like, oh, I just click this button, I click this button, but like, how does it actually work? Like, how do you get on your phone and get that much information that quick?
Well, step 1, unlock
Okay.
your phone. Step 2, open TikTok.
Okay.
Step 3, you can search within TikTok, or if that's something that you're interested in, then it'll pop up on your For You page,
Right.
which is like, it gives you a bunch of things that you're interested in.
But who determines what you're interested in?
Pretty much like you liking or resharing different videos.
Okay.
It, what's the word? It like,
It's
Your
like
algorithm.
an algorithm.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
It-
that's the word.
It will generate,
The smart people know.
like, if you like a video, it will generate similar videos. And it will, if you like keep liking, or if you dislike, it will take away videos that you're not so much a fan of. So
And then
So-
from there, it's kind of like, oh, well, now I'm seeing stuff. Now I need to make sure that it's legitimate, or that AI isn't just putting it on there, or someone created it with AI for fake news.
Right.
So then you go to like any news website, or you can even turn on the TV and look at the news. But then you just need to like search through and find what is kind of corresponding to that. And then you kind of search through, read, and figure out your own opinion about where you lean on that issue.
Okay. All right. What do you think?
yeah, I mean, I don't have TikTok, but Instagram is probably the main place I go to. Like, I like watching Instagram Reels, which is like, 15, 30-second videos. And so I'll just scroll through there, and sometimes, depending on what's on my For You page, it's either the news or random videos. But yeah, kind of what we were saying earlier, your For You page is dependent on what you like and what you dislike.
So I felt we were discussing this earlier. I don't know if y'all were here yet, but we were talking about, we feel like the population, there's pods. There's like individual pods that think alike, and the more you get into the news the way you're getting it, your pod gets bigger. But does that really open up your mind for another pod that has a legitimate? So how would you recommend, like, how do we get a total picture to your generation that includes a pod that might not, just like what you said, like when you came to school here, Abby, you had this kid that was in your school that had never seen anybody, had seen somebody that looked like you, but had been around people that looked just like her entire life, and then had to adjust to you. What did you learn from somebody like that? And what did you teach her, really?
Pretty much I taught her that I wasn't scary,
Okay.
because I guess like a girl like with tattoos, like never ever like really having a conversation with a white person, it was like, oh, like I'm kind of scared. Like I guess her immediate thought was, oh, I'm racist. But then she like found out like, oh, I'm not. And then we got along great, and we just kind of taught each other about our backgrounds and where we came from, and we just kind of learned a lot about each other in a sense. And like that, even though I never experienced things that she went through, I have a better picture on what she went through, so then I can take that information and take it anywhere, really. Like being more mindful of how you're talking and reacting to people in different certain situations.
So what do the two of y'all think about that? Because like from my standpoint, when I hear that, I feel like one of the worst things that we do in law enforcement is we give a 21, 22-year-old the ability to take freedoms from people that have a ton of life experience and put them in jail. How do we get your generation open to having those conversations with other people? Do y'all have any ideas or thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it really takes that person to want to have an open mind. Because I know if there's so many, like a lot of my friends too, that they're just so closed-minded. Like they're told information that contradicts their views, but they're already so closed-minded that it just bounces off, and they just don't even want to hear it. They don't want to listen to it. So I think, I don't really know. I don't really have the answer, but it takes some sort of effort to have an open mind and to get people to be able to listen. And they may not agree with it, but just to kind of hear about the other side.
Just slow down and listen to the other person, because that's one of the things. I've been to a lot of different schools, and I've had like really, really good instructors, and I've had ones that are not nearly as good. But if I slow down and take a breath and not look at all the things that they're doing wrong, I learn stuff from each one of them. And I think with age, that's what you learn, is like everybody has something to give to you if you're open to listen and just be open to it. I just wonder how that works in this technology age, because I do feel like we're so divisive right now. But I think if you sit down and have a conversation, we're really not that far apart. I mean, I'm double your age, but we have something in common. We really want to do something that makes things better. And so like, that's a starting point. But how do we get to a starting point with your generation that gets your news in those snippets? Like I don't know how to get I don't want to say how to get your attention, but like, how do we get your generation's engagement, involvement? Y'all have so many good answers and so many things to bring to the table. How do we get your generation open to something different? I don't know.
I would say that our generation has a very short attention span. So that's why people gravitate more towards TikTok and Instagram Reels rather than YouTube anymore necessarily, because it's like, oh, it's a quick little snippet, easy to watch. I can just keep on scrolling. But most people are so closed-minded now because it's like, oh, little short snippet. It's what I like. It's what I like. It's what I like. You're not ever getting the other perspective. And Jolie was right. Like, it does take a certain person to have an open mind to want to experience that. And I think that, especially in the law enforcement sense, kind of putting opportunities out there for the younger officers, let's say, to really get out there in the community and like hear what these people have to say. Definitely like more interaction with different people than themselves, people with different views, and really taking to heart what people say in a certain sense, because obviously you don't want to take everything to heart, but you really want to take somebody else's perspective and kind of think like, oh, how does that affect me? How does it affect them? And is there anything that I can do to change how they're feeling about a certain thing? Like, let's say someone thinks poorly on some issue with drugs or something. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, drugs are bad. What are we going to do to stop this? How can I change your perspective on thinking that, oh, all of these people are bad, rather than thinking, oh, well, there are bad people, but some people want help to get better, and kind of making them think differently. Like, okay, so these people actually want help. How do we differentiate who wants help, who doesn't want help, and how to help them at the end of the day?
You think it's just having a conversation with them?
It all starts with a conversation.
I think the biggest thing that I look at is, in listening to what you're saying, is my generation needs to do a better job as acting as mentors to open your minds, but also embrace who you are as a problem solver and say, hey, I can provide you some insight, as far as, I don't want to say how the world works, but like, let me show you my failures. I learn from those failures. I think I train dogs. I love that. And we train to failure. And that's what we put the dog in a situation where they fail, and then we train past it and win. And so, like, from my standpoint, if we do a better job in my generation of saying like, hey, you have a lot to bring to the table, come show me what you know and let me show you how I failed. I mean, and be strong enough to go, hey, I do fail. I fail every day. But that doesn't change like the core of who I am. And so like for me with y'all is like, I do feel like your generation is such an untapped resource. You have so much to give, but I think I feel like people in my age group and the leadership that we have, sometimes we forget, we're like, oh, well, there's a warm body that I can put in this seat and they're going to affect law enforcement like this. And I think they totally forget like how much experience. So I have life experience, but you have experience on how to collect information. Like I could never do what y'all did. So I'm sorry I interrupted. Go ahead. Tell me about your stuff.
No.
I'm going to lower my chair and get off my soapbox.
I think just coming from personal experience, now that I've graduated working in the corrections field, you just come across all these people and just all these different stories. And some of the stories that I've heard, like, it makes me think if I were in that situation, like, would I have done the same thing that they would have done? And I think just having that real life experience too has also opened up my mind a lot. 'Cause, at Liberty, a lot of us, not that this is a bad thing by any means, a lot of us think the same way. But then when you go out into the real world, you find that there's lots of different points of views, and learning how to, I think one of the things that was a learning curve was learning how to be respectful and still disagree with that person. So.
No, I agree. And I guess like I really would like to think of, talk more about how we do get your generation more engaged in solutions, because like I said, I feel like y'all are a conduit to an untapped resource, and we just have to be, put our big boy pants on and say, hey, you can teach me. You don't have the same life experiences that I have, but is there any way for us to give you like a taste of our life experiences, and in turn, I think you talked about that before. It's just like having people come to you and say, hey, here's a project. Can you come up with an answer? Talk about that a little bit, Jolie.
Yeah, I think just having, especially like, I guess if partnering with like students at a law enforcement agency, just having that law enforcement agency just coming to the students, and it could be, something mundane, something that would just take time off for that law enforcement agency so that they can dedicate those resources and those times somewhere else. But that student can easily they can easily do it. And I know for me, that's kind of what I've been doing in my internship. It's something they can totally do, but I'm able to fill a position that doesn't take someone off the streets for them. And especially at a law enforcement agency, a small law enforcement agency where every person they have matters, and it's taking someone off the street is going to hurt their shift. Mm-hmm. So it's something super easy. I just do a lot of reading and a lot of writing, but for me, it's a way that I can gain experience. I'm able to put it onto my resume, and they've been able to kind of pour their wisdom into me as well, and which means so much to me too. And if I feel trusted by them, and so I feel more, I guess, loyal to them, and I want to do a good job at what I'm doing, and I want to be the best that I can.
What do you think, Abby? She's like, no, not me.
Can you repeat the question?
No, I'm just. I feel like we're on Wheel. What is it? Was it Wheel of Fortune, or what is that they do? That like, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. I don't know.
You know me. I forgot what the question was.
I watch TV.
No,
I don't know. I was just so like locked into what Jolie was saying that
I'm just
completely forgot what the question was.
If I can circle back to what Jenna said, is I do think that we are teaching you at Liberty and in other schools a very sterile book answer. And I think that's what I'm hearing is like we give you the book answer, but are we giving you like how to apply the knowledge that you have. Is that what you're saying is apply? So I learned the book answer, but then I get out in the real world and the book answer.
The book answer isn't always the answer.
No, it's not.
No.
Okay,
There's
talk
like
about
so much,
that.
There's so much gray area too.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. Like I one of the things I want people to hear from y'all is your generation has a ton to give to us if we just slow down and listen to you. And like, here's your chance.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to know, I guess, the book answers.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to have that information because it is helpful. It gives us a basis for, where we could start out in solving a problem. But I think one thing that makes our generation unique is just how creatively we think.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you could give us a problem and I could solve it one way, but then Abby could solve it a completely different way. And so could Jolie. Like, I think we just think in creative ways that are not necessarily the book answers, but we like kind of make our
Your solution.
path, our own solution.
But it's a
Yeah.
solution.
Yeah.
It is. And it's not just creativity. It's the ability to do what I think is really hard work is the research. Like we were talking about before, y'all. I know when I used to interview people, we would spend a ton of time talking to people, and it would take us days to figure out who they were talking about. But I take somebody from your generation, you're able to look at their social media accounts and everything else, and you're able to identify people really quick. And to me, like, that's a huge help. So I don't know, like, for me, looking at y'all and looking at you as the future of law enforcement, how do we keep you out of like, okay, well, this is the way we've always done it. How do we in law enforcement embrace who you are as individuals? You talk about creativity. Like, how do we do a better job of saying, Abby, this is what I need. Jolie, Jenna, like, what do we need to do to get you engaged to solutions? And then the harder question is, how do we get your minds opened up where you have been inundated with information from people that think just like you?
I would say definitely opportunities, giving more opportunities, more freedom to each task, but also saying, okay, well, I know about this way, find another way. Like giving that, okay, so this is how we've always done it, but find a different way. Try something different. And
Okay.
like giving those leading questions, I'd say, like giving us a kind of direction in going and thinking outside of the box.
So when we did the Intel project, we didn't give you a whole lot of direction. We gave you kind of like a guardrails on either side of the road, and we're like, get to where you need to go.
We like taught ourselves pretty much how to do everything
Right.
because like
So you created your own way of collecting information. You created your own way to validate information.
yeah, because you told us to do the like case study things,
Mm-hmm.
but like for my group, we didn't actually do that many of them because we didn't think that they were really that beneficial for us.
Okay.
Because we're like, well, if we're putting this into a PowerPoint, it's like a waste of time for us to put it all in a separate document and all this and that, when we could just put it all into a slideshow, have different links here and there, having like a actual just open document itself, just putting all the links and what we find underneath them was a lot more easier to read, way less confusing, a lot more simpler, and everyone can all work on it at the same time. But you're also like, oh, so this person found this site. What can I take from this site? But also, what information can I use to find something else on a different site?
So it's not only collecting the information, but leading to other information.
Rather than having different people send in the case studies, and then you're like, oh, well, I have all these different ones, but it's just like words. Rather than, oh, screenshot here, highlight something here. Let's color code, like this is for drug trafficking, this color is for human trafficking, this color is for how they relate together. And it was just a lot easier that way rather than each individual person sending me a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we were all able to see what everyone else found, so then we could use that to branch off.
Okay. What do you think? Anybody else?
I just say,
Bueller.
yeah. I just say, like making opportunities for students to get engaged.
Okay.
I guess yeah, I guess for them to be a part of that organization. I also would say just being open to change, because I know, especially at what I've seen, a lot of the law enforcement they're kind of resistant to change. Actually, a lot of them are very resistant to change. So
I'm unique, but I also have the tag in the
Yeah.
back that says doesn't play well with others, may bite, things like that.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So I think and it really all starts with leadership. You have to have that leadership being able to be open to change, and then that's going to trickle down all the way down to the officers. So being open to change and listening. I mean, even though some 22-year-old's going to have a suggestion, but I think just listening to them, acknowledging their idea, and it could be a dumb idea, but just listening to them, making them feel, I guess, listened to. And then maybe the next idea they'll have is a great one. But
Right.
I guess if they immediately just shut that 22-year-old down, they're gonna carry that for a while after that.
Yeah. I would say, I mean, kind of going off Jolie, just investing, taking the time to invest. Because at least for me personally, when I feel like the person who's come to me, when I feel like they're just invested as I am, I'm more motivated to want to do a good job, to want to excel at whatever project is given to me. But yeah, I said listening too. Like, it is, I think as a 22-year-old coming to, a seasoned law enforcement that has so many years of experience can be a little bit intimidating. And so just knowing that they're open to our ideas, even though it may not be the same way that they would have done it.
what do you think? And there was two parts to that question. I actually remembered my question this time. So how do we open your mind? So y'all have gone around the table and you've told me how we engage with you, but how do we get more information to you to give you more of our life experiences? Is it a conditional? What I'm hearing is it's a conditional offer. If we listen, I'm just joking, by the way, but it is kind of a conditional thing. Is that if we engage with you and we listen to you, you will take the time to sit down, and instead of that quick blurb, you might sit down and talk to somebody like me for a period of time and go, well, hey, he's not really right, but he did have a point about that. So
It's like the effort. Like, if you're going to put effort into me, then I'm going to put effort back into you.
Okay.
Like, if you're giving me the time of day, you're listening to what I have to say, and you're taking what I have to say into consideration, or you're at least going to try my idea, then that makes me want to work harder in giving you something more concrete.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, well, okay, so maybe this didn't exactly work out how I wanted it, but now this is what I'm going to do. But it all takes a conversation at the end of the day. And, like, if you're listening, if you are, like, willing to, then it'll go, like, miles.
y'all shaking your head, so you agree.
Yeah.
We all agree.
All right.
Same
think-
brainwave.
So we're going to end it like this: is like your chance going around the table. This is like your mic drop moment. Go around the table. Tell us one thing that nobody knows, not nobody knows, but something that would be surprising based on your experience at Liberty and this Intel project. One thing. I'll go first. How about that?
Okay.
So the thing that I found was the most interesting is I had someone telling me, like, oh, you need to give them more direction. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. And it wasn't that I was being lazy. It was just me saying, like, I just want to see how they arrive at the destination. I'm going to just give them a topic that I think is very relevant to what we're doing right now. And I want to see how they get there. And so, like, that was my thing with Liberty. And y'all shot it way past what I thought you'd get to. So, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I feel like the product that y'all produced, and I am very proud of what y'all accomplished. I feel like all of y'all invested a lot of time and effort and came out with a finished product that should have been more than just like, oh, It should have been like, holy shit, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. And we'll edit that one out for the Liberty crowd. Go ahead.
I think for me, it was the opportunities that came afterwards.
Okay.
There's another, I guess, research group very similar to the Intel group that we did with the school government, kind of more on the policy side. Mm-hmm. But I think it was the day or two after we had given that presentation, a professor called me and he's like, hey, I want you to be part of this group. So I was able to do that group for two more semesters. Mm-hmm. And we were able to work with the FBI. And just this last semester, we gave that presentation for the FBI. We also gave it to the Virginia Secretary of Homeland Security and Public Safety. So that's cool. It was really cool just to see how that opportunity, it didn't really feel, like this big opportunity at first, but just how it opened the doors for me into other opportunities.
It really opened my mind to thinking a different way and finding information differently. And especially the most interesting thing that I found throughout all of this is that even though the porn industry is a $97 billion industry, that 89% of pornography actually comes from the United States, and 55% of that is children. So it's you're finding out all this stuff and you're like, wow, this is something very interesting. And you're like, oh, well, now we can see that pornography actually is a link to human trafficking, and there's so much of it happening in America that now my wheels are turning and I'm like, okay, well, how can you put concrete evidence into how these relate, and how can you put a stop to it here in the United States? So it's now I'm looking for different opportunities to actually take that information and run with it so we can actually help lower these rates and lower the human trafficking rate in America.
I like it.
Yeah. I'd say for me, I think, so learning about fentanyl and just seeing how prevalent it is right now, especially at work, just seeing how many people are coming in from they're smoking something that's been mixed with fentanyl or just straight fentanyl. That's just blown my mind of how big of a problem it's becoming right now.
All right. Well, like I said, I really appreciate y'all coming in. I don't feel like I'm biased. I just feel like I am more open to what y'all had to give, and I just hope people on my side do a better job of opening their eyes and saying hey, these kids have a lot to give. Let's tap into this resource.